I'm in Chiang Mai this morning and I've come to make a video about the Warorot market, or Gad Loang as it's known locally. It's the largest market in northern Thailand and I love coming down here. There's always so much to see, so much to do, so much to take photos of and make videos about, and it's just, there's always a liveliness about it that I really enjoy. So whether you're coming down to buy vegetables or fruit or any of your fresh food for the day, or pre-cooked foods, or you can sit down, there's lots of little places to sit down and have a bowl of noodles and things like that. Or you can come down here to buy footwear and clothing and hats and fishing nets and gardening products and seeds and all manner of different things. And it's a mixture of indoor and outdoor market, so around the streets and the alleyways and the outside, if it's a nice day, you can spend just hours walking around down here, really enjoying it, really seeing a good slice of what the heart of Chiang Mai is really like. And then you can go indoors and find all of the different products that they've got on there. A lot of dried foods and clothing is indoors, and you can find these in two different buildings, both upstairs and downstairs. There is just so much to see and so much to do here. Story has it that this market was founded by some Chinese traders that came up the river. The Ping River's just over here, and these guys came up the river on their boat. I think it was 250 years ago, something like that. And on the other side of the river there was a timber company, the Borneo Timber Company in Chiang Mai, and on this side of the river there was the camp of the mahouts and the elephants that they looked after. And so these smart traders, they came up on their boat, they saw this encampment of people and elephants and the big timber company there, and they decided to set up shop. And this has now developed over many years into these markets here, and probably about 50 years ago I think it split off the main fresh market, which is Muang Mai market now, which is a little further upriver. I'll do another video about that at a different time. That's worth its whole own video or maybe series of videos. It's a great place. That's where all the fresh fruit and veg comes into the city, and it's the real heartbeat of Chiang Mai. So these guys came up the river, they set up a shop, and it's just developed and expanded, and this whole area is still known as the Chinatown, or the little Chinatown of Chiang Mai. And as you can see, I'm at a temple, a Buddhist temple, but this is a distinctly Chinese temple, and it is one of the oldest Chinese temples in Chiang Mai that originated, I'm sure, around the same time that these traders came up the river. I'd come down here about a year ago or so, and I hadn't been here for a while, and I was looking at it and it was looking kind of sad. It was looking a bit shabby and like it needed a coat of paint, and within a few months they had started working on it. Probably not because I've been thinking about it, but someone else had realised too that it was looking a bit dowdy and a bit flat. So it had then undergone months of renovation, and the paintwork has all been redone. So there's these fabulous structures and old structures for little places for making merit, for doing worship and leaving offerings. But there's also some fabulous murals on the walls that are really just full of life and richness now that they have been repainted. And it was a really cool process to see how this happened, and over a period of months all the scaffolding went up and they just worked away quietly on it, and now it has been really brought back to life, which is great to see that they're preserving the heritage, the history, the culture of this area so well. And so just adjacent to me here too, in between me and the river, there's a road, the main road that runs along the flower market, and this is where you'll find a lot of the different forms of transport in Chiang Mai. There's bus stops over there, there's places where the songthaos leave, well, there's a few different places where the songthaos leave. These are the covered trucks that work on following a bus route, or the red ones will take you anywhere like a taxi truck. And there's also one of my favourite forms of transport is the Samlaw, and there's a whole lot of them down here this morning. They must be waiting for a tour group, I'd say, to transport some tourists around Chiang Mai. These guys have been down here for so long, and I love having chats with them, I love having conversations. I was looking for one guy just now that I haven't seen for a while. There were so many of them here, Lung Gao, and we've worked with him in the past, and he's helped us to organise transport for visitors that we've had and so on. And they're just always lovely guys to chat with. I think now I've met 3 of them that are younger than me. I'm now 59 years old, and these guys are hardcore. They love what they do. They get out there and ride. They really enjoy it. They enjoy the community and the camaraderie between them. And they're just really tough guys, really strong. Their legs are amazing usually. But their age is no deterrent. I met one guy that was still riding. He was 98 years old. Others of them have told me stories that they started riding when they were 17 years old, and this one chap, he was now 77 years old, so he's been riding in Chiang Mai all his life, riding around, and just, I'm sure he would be full of stories if I had time to sit down with a translator. I'd need someone to help me, and really to be able to tell the wealth of the history and the comings and goings of everything in and around the heartbeat, the main area of Chiang Mai here. So coming down to the market, if you're a tourist, if you're looking around, if you're looking to get around in Chiang Mai, these guys are a fabulous way to see the city. It's really chill, it's really slow, and just a relaxed pace, and they'll drop you off and pick you up if you want to stop for a coffee or something, or to go and have a look at something. They'll wait for you and carry on. Talk about price with them, but don't try and beat them down too much. These guys work hard and they'll give you a good deal. And please, I've seen tourists cram 2 at a time into these old bikes, but please don't do that. This is hard work for them as it is, let alone trying to put 2 people in. Traditionally, yeah, and you still see them, they'll be bringing ladies who come down to the market to do their shopping, who live reasonably close by, and they'll bring them to and from the market with the shopping for the week. And this is traditionally what they've done, but there's not so many people doing that. Lots of people now have got motorcycles or other ways of getting around, so they really do rely more on the tourism and the tourists coming along to hire them. So come and engage with them and enjoy a real slice, a real part of the Chiang Mai culture that is sadly fading, because like I said, there's not many young guys doing this anymore. It's mainly the older chaps, and they're not going to live forever. So it will be something that I think over the next years we will see disappear more and more. There's certainly nowhere near the number of San Law that there used to be in Chiang Mai. And then further down here we've got the flower market, which just runs along opposite the river, and then deeper in behind it, and you've got all manner of different flowers. And coming down here at different times of the year, you'll see different types of flowers, and it's always fun to come down here and see the brightness and the colour and the lushness of it all. And I enjoy photographing that, enjoy connecting with the people. And there's one guy that I met down here one day, and I'd seen him a number of times. He's a pretty tough looking dude with a fairly close cropped haircut, always wearing a black shirt, like a motorcycle shirt or a heavy metal shirt or something like that. And I was kind of a little bit sort of intimidated, a little bit reluctant to photograph him, but one morning I saw him standing out here just leaning on his car, and the lighting was fabulous. So I plucked up the courage to ask him if I could take his photograph, and he just stood there and was quite proud of that and quite happy to have his photograph taken by me. And this was the beginning of a friendship, and it's really nice. Every time I come past and he's here, we'll have a conversation, we'll have a chat. At times I've come past with a female guest and he's given them flowers, and we just have this really lovely interaction. Another time he pulled out this old pipe, a lovely old tobacco pipe, and he lit it up and he wanted me to take a photo of him smoking his pipe, and just things like that. So it was, yeah, it's just, this is part of the reason I love coming down here, is for that interaction, for that connection with the locals. It's not difficult. And it's just, yeah, so friendly, even though I'd felt a little bit intimidated by the look of the guy, because most of the guys down here, a lot of the guys that work in the flower industry are not like that at all, if you get what I mean. They're kind of a bit more on the feminine side, or katui. This guy's quite a bit different than that, for sure. But haven't seen him for a long time, and I was wandering past a few months ago now, and one of the ladies that works next door to him caught my attention one day and said, "Oh, you're looking for Piluang?" I said, "Yeah, I haven't seen him for a long time." And she said, "Oh, you're Kun Kevin, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." And she knew me, she'd remembered me. I'd never talked to her before, But she told me that he'd sort of said, oh, say hi to Kevin if he comes past. It turns out that he's coming in like really early in the morning and he's gone by 7 o'clock. So I'll have to try and get in here early one day and say hi to him. But it's really lovely having these conversations with people as I come down here and just to do some shopping or to take some photos or whatever I'm doing. It's just always neat to have that bit of interaction happening. นี่ร้านที่นี่กี่ปีแล้ว
30 กว่าปีละ
30 กว่าปี อ๋อจริงเหรอ In all the years I've been coming down to this market, it has hardly seemed to have changed at all. Probably one of the biggest changes is that now everybody's got a mobile phone, so if they're not busy, they're looking at their phones, or they're looking at their phones as they're walking in the street or whatever. But most of what's down here has hardly changed. And I was chatting with a lady who sells deep-fried food down at the corner there. She sells chicken and pork and liver and all sorts of bits and pieces of these animals, and she said she's been there for over 30 years now. And I asked her how much has the market changed, and she said, oh, it's still just the same. And I love it. There's such a richness of tradition, of culture here. You can see the spirit house that's decorated. People will come and bring some offering here. They'll leave some flowers or some decorations, probably at the beginning of the day as they come to work and make merit, hoping for good sales and stuff. So it's just a really very much a down-to-earth place. I like coming here far more than, say, coming to any of the shopping malls in town, because the market here has got real character and real depth, and the people are, like I said earlier, people are a lot more open, they're a lot more friendly, and it's really easy to have a nice conversation with people. In between the two market buildings, there's a covered walkway here that is a really cool place to come and people watch. You can look down at the street, see the comings and goings, people loading and unloading produce and just going about their daily business. It's covered so you're in the shade, and it's a pretty cool place to come up and catch a little bit of video or a few photographs and just watch the world go by and see the life as it unfolds. The one other thing I like about being up here is you can see the diversity of language in the signs. You can see that there's the Chinese influence still here, because there's still a lot of signs in Chinese characters. There's also signs in Thai, and of course these days a lot of English. There used to be some in Northern Thai dialect as well, which looks a bit more like the Burmese script and Myanmar script, but haven't seen those around for a while. But it just reflects the diversity of life in Chiang Mai. And from here in the evening, this street is really interesting. It changes. At the moment, there's mainly people selling fresh fruit and vegetables and fresh food like that. But in the evening, it will line up with a whole bunch of different vendors who are selling a lot of cooked food, a lot of street food, really good street food, but also other products, footwear and watches and Lord knows what else. And it's mainly frequented by Thai people. It's not the regular Chiang Mai night bazaar that's so famous. This area just changes from day until night, and again, it's a great place to come to really catch some of the heartbeat and the feel of Chiang Mai. There's tons of wonderful little back alleys around here. This is the back of one of the buildings behind me that they've dressed up recently. It used to be really shabby and they've cleaned it up, painted it. It looks really nice and bright, and just sort of lifts the feeling of the whole area. Down here there's a couple of older Chinese stores that sell cooking utensils and pots and pans and things, and there's food and all kinds of things. There's a shop further down that sells deep fried, like they're a donut type of thing, and they make them into shapes like crocodiles and dinosaurs, and they're really, really popular. The kids love them, and the Chinese tourists love them as well. This shop used to be just a little street side stand, and I was down here taking some photos one day, standing just across the side of the alley over here, and I motioned to the lady, caught her eye and held up my camera and smiled and nodded, and she smiled and nodded back, so she knew I wanted to take a photo, and she obviously didn't mind, so I proceeded to take some pictures of her. And this guy was sitting at the table, was a foreigner, and he was talking to me directly, started speaking to me, quite a loud voice in a foreign language that I don't understand. And he actually got up and came over to me and was really not being very polite at all. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't understand you and I actually don't care to. And he turned around and he spoke to me in English and told me off for being so rude as to not ask for permission before I took this lady's photograph. And he was like being quite aggro about it and quite insistent that I was being very, very rude. But what he didn't realise was that this poor lady he'd bought some food from her, he was sitting down eating it, and now he was basically abusing me, and she was losing face because she was really embarrassed. And so I didn't debate with the man. I didn't want to try and educate him as to how incorrect his perspective was, or maybe his worldview was a little bit skewed. But I did why and apologise to the lady that I'd been taking photos of, and she still smiles to me and says hi whenever I see her. But it's just one of those little things that when you're in Chiang Mai and you're in Thailand, you've got to be aware of the local culture and the local ways of doing things. That I knew that I was fine to be able to take her photograph and that she had actually given me permission. But this is just another little story of life in Chiang Mai, life down at Warorot market. So that's basically it. We've just about come to the end of the route that I'm walking today. I'm back around to the Chinese temple where we started. So if you're coming down here, check out some of these places and don't forget to say hi and chat with the locals. It's a lot of fun.